I'm Ben McKenzie. I'm the Fractional AI Officer for 1584 Design, and today we're going to be talking about the most important part of any AI system for interior design. And I want to frame that up by saying that AI mistakes, they often don't look like mistakes. When it gets something wrong, usually the output looks really good. It's fluent, structured, it follows the rules it was given. There are often no red flags or errors. And if nobody checks this, those mistakes can end up being client-facing mistakes or be expensive mistakes for some other reason. So this underscores the importance of having somebody check, right? And to kind of help you understand what that checking looks like and why it's important, I'm gonna explore a case where there were 14 inventory items that were recorded wrong in the software for project management for a firm. They were basically logged as if they were bought for the new clients, so they had to be fixed so that they were properly accounted for as coming from the designer's inventory. So the operator asked AI to fix this error because they use custom software we created for them that talks to AI. And what you're gonna see is what they did during that cleanup that made it work. We're gonna frame this in terms of 5 habits. And the first one is to ask AI to create a plan and have it show it to you before you do anything. Because often, especially if you use Claude, it's eager. Sometimes it jumps the gun and that's not helpful. And we have a record of that convo here. And to give you some more context, 1584, a lot of their clients are investors in vacation rentals and they have tighter furnishings budgets. And so a lot of these guys want to put their money into the larger pieces so that they're durable and they're nice. And so 1584 will deal hunt for accessories, art, stuff like that will work for the concept. And sometimes they find great things at thrift stores. Sometimes they have stuff in inventory. So we had to identify all these items. And so the AI was like, here's how I would find items like that. And it proposed like a pretty good plan, but the designer caught, or the operator caught, an assumption here. And they said, doesn't your plan assume that every item has a transaction that it's assigned to? And that is a problematic assumption because the way these items were added, they were without transactions. The designer just added the items straight into the app, which is a departure from SOPs, but that stuff happens, you know what I mean? So the operator knew this and it was like, hey, did you make this assumption? Yes, good catch. This really leads into the second habit, and that is read the plan and spot the assumptions. Because in this case, as I mentioned, the AI's plan assumed that every item had a purchase transaction attached. About half didn't. And the operator caught it because they actually read the plan and they understood the business. They just asked one question and the AI rewrote the plan very quickly. And without it, their fix would have been a complete miss. So leading into the next part, the operator watched the AI actually execute the plan here. And like it checked in quickly here and it said, hey, do you need to create a more detailed plan than this basic one, or can you continue? The AI was like, I can just start this. Do you want me to go? The operator said yes, which is often fine. Like the models are getting so good these days that if they have a basic plan that sounds good, you can often just have them go ahead and do it. And that wasn't the case even like 6 months ago. So that underscores the importance of staying fluent and staying up to date because best practices change over time. But anyway, the AI found the project using the MCP connection that we'd created for this design firm so the AI could talk to the apps database. And what's cool is that you can see how the AI started to think if you expand these little tooltips here. So it found the right account, it found the right project. And then when it found the right project, it started doing keyword searches, it just blows my mind still how smart these things are sometimes and how dumb they are. Simultaneously somehow. But anyway, it started doing all these keyword searches that were really intelligent. So I mean, thrift is an obvious one and it found associated records. Then it searched for Goodwill. So it's starting to use like established names for common thrift stores now. It knows that we're in Utah, and so it used Deseret because Deseret Industries is a common thrift store in Utah. So it's starting to demonstrate some pretty impressive intelligence here. Consignment didn't get any hits. It looks like Savers didn't get any hits. Vintage got hits. So it did these really clever keyword searches and only did that correctly, only used this really smart approach because originally the designer caught it and said, you're making an assumption that's problematic. We need to adjust course. So anyway, in terms of watching the execution mid-session, the AI hit a constraint and it said, let me create a sale transaction to move items back into inventory. And I don't want to like bore you with the details around how this app works, but essentially as a designer, sometimes you sell items to your clients, you include a markup, you may even purchase items from projects and include them in your inventory for other projects. And so there's a mechanism that does that inside of this app. And then there's another mechanism that's really for corrections. Like if something gets put in the wrong place, there's an action that moves it to another place without triggering any kind of a sale. And so what happened is the AI, where is it? The AI asked the operator for a little bit of guidance, and the operator said, hey, we're gonna have to move these items to inventory and then sell them from inventory to the project. And so the AI looked for the tools that it has available to do this, and it said, okay, to move the items to inventory, we're gonna sell them from the project to inventory. And this is the error. This is the error that the operator caught, and this underscores the importance of actually paying attention and reading what AI is doing. So, I mean, a lot of people think about using AI in business, and especially for interior design, and they think, I'm just gonna set up this fully automated workflow and have it run in the background. And eventually you can do that. And for some things, it's easier than others, but often you need to have a human in the loop. That's the core concept here. The most important part of any AI system, to answer the promise of the title, is the human in the loop, the person who is checking and steering, because you can set up tools really well and AI can still make mistakes. And if you're not paying attention, you won't catch those mistakes. So you want somebody on your team who knows how this works, who is going to be reading what the AI is doing and catching it for operations that are kind of one-off things and aren't part of these really clean, dialed-in flows that most people think of when they think about AI. So the error here is that the items were put in the wrong place from the beginning. So we shouldn't be selling them from the project to inventory. We need to be moving them, correcting that mistake. And so the operator said, no, that's a bad idea. We need to correct this. And at the same time said, hey, we probably need to update our MCP server so that the descriptions are clearer, because again, I don't want to bore you with like technical details, but with these connectors, they include descriptions of how the AI should use the connector. And so there was a gap that the operator identified in this connector in its descriptions. So that's what kind of the rest of this is about. But the main thing I want you to pay attention to is that the operator saw that the AI was proposing to do the wrong thing and said, stop, don't do that, do this thing instead. This kind of leads into habit number 4, and that's when you are an operator for an interior design business, or maybe you're the owner and also the operator, hopefully not. If you are in that role of operating the business and running AI, maintaining your systems and improving your systems is going to be something that's iterative. It happens as you use them and you see issues that need to be fixed. This is super common. And again, if you have a really narrowly scoped workflow, something that happens the same way all the time, you can work with someone like us to build it for you and go through that test fix loop for you so that it's dialed in from the beginning. But often when you're using AI day to day, you're going to see that maybe a skill that you created needs to be tweaked. Maybe a connector that you're using has to be tweaked. And so when you do that, when you see that the AI has done something wrong, it's really useful to ask the AI, why did this happen? And often it will tell you and point you to the right solution. And the beauty of this is, if you get into the habit of, when you notice something goes wrong, if you get into the habit of asking, why did this happen? What was the root cause? When AI tells you, you can then ask it, how do we fix this so it doesn't happen again? And then when AI fixes it, which is the next step, you have it test the fix. If you still notice problems, you ask, why did this new problem occur? Or why is this problem still occurring? And you run that test fix loop over and over again. Now, obviously this requires some fluency, some skill. And if you're an owner of an interior design company, you probably want the person who runs and understands AI in your business to be the operator. And there are a few reasons for this. And the core of it is really that they touch everything in the business. They have the most context for when something is off, when they're watching AI, when they're planning with AI. And because they understand more aspects of the business, they also see more opportunities to use AI in the business. And when you have a single person who is primarily responsible for this work, it doesn't mean that other people in your company can't use AI. The operator can help create systems for them to easily use AI. But when you have one person who's doing the core work, they get more reps seeing what happens when they do stuff like I just showed you. They create and read more plans by AI, and these reps compound and it results in skill that becomes very valuable. Again, your whole team can use AI, but the operator owns AI systems, usually runs it from a single computer because that is by far the most cost-effective way to do it. And most AI systems that are being created are really designed to be run on a computer as opposed to in the cloud. Doesn't mean it's not possible to run in the cloud, it just costs more to set up and maintain, it's more complicated. Usually the simple answer is pick a person in your business, usually the operator, set up their computer to use AI to run all of your core AI systems and manage them, and then create endpoints or interfaces for your other employees to use it in a simpler way. So taking a step back, what I want to leave you with is a basic understanding of how your operator, or if you are the operator, how you should be interacting with AI. Because in previous videos, we talked about the most important skill being understanding what to point AI at, how to pick the right problems for AI to solve. But this is a close second. This set of 5 habits that include planning out loud with AI, actually reading the plan it creates, watching its execution, asking why things went wrong when they go wrong, and when it tells you, actually implementing the fixes that it points you towards. If you do all these things and you're using AI for the right things, you are way ahead of the pack.